Here's my center of operations.
There, that should do it. Lamont, could you help me?
Sure, what do you need?
I can't quite reach that bottle up there. Could you get it for me?
Sure.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I'll go get you something. What do you need?
Nose spray. Back room.
No spray, back room, got it. Cute dog. Whoa, this is weird. I better call Nancy and read this to her word for word.
Wow, Bess, that is weird.
No, I'll tell you what's weird. The box the letter is in is padded, and it has this round indentation in it that's the exact size of a human skull. It's like it used to contain a skull, but now it doesn't.
Did you find anything else?
Yeah, inside the box that this box is in, there's a couple of photographs. One's of a boy and a dog, and the other is of an iguana dressed up like a pirate.
What?
And there's a costume in the box of a skeleton man.
Really?
And did I mention that Lamont was very reluctant to talk about buying this box of stuff from Henry? Said he didn't want to get anyone in trouble, whatever that means.
Sounds like he or Henry, or possibly both, are up to something they shouldn't be. Good job, Bess. I'm gonna poke around here and see if I can find out anything about a skull called the Whisperer. You better go take care of Lamont.
Would you believe it? The guy is still sneezing. He must keep nose spray around because something's wrong with his sinuses. Oh, he's gonna hate me.
What was that?
That was Uncle Bruno's pet iguana, Iggy. He's always in here stealing paper. He must be using it to build a nest or something. Look, I had all those books arranged so they fit perfectly in that box. Put them back in, okay? I don't have time.
I just want to look through this one book.
Go right ahead, after you put all those other books back. Yes?
I'm afraid you're going to be stuck with me for a while.
Let me guess. Because of the big storm that's blowing in. Everyone in the city's freaking out and you can't get a cab.
Bingo.
Person at the bank told me. Just before she put me on hold for 2 hours. Ah, don't worry. We've got plenty of food here. Beds, candles. You're welcome to stay.
How did Bruno die, if you don't mind my asking?
Just dropped dead in the front hallway. I mean, the guy was 95 years old. Here, check it out. Myocardial infarction. That's doctor speak for heart attack.
Attending physician Dr. Gilbert Buford, 504-555-9970. Was that Bruno's doctor?
And his best friend, or so I'm told. I've never met him.
Interesting keychain.
That's one of Uncle Bruno's glass eyes. It's the one he was wearing when he died.
How nice.
Anything else?
How come your great-uncle's crypt is in the garden and not in the cemetery?
Don't ask me. It's kind of weird. Apparently, he built the crypt himself, but he never indicated in his will or anywhere else that that's where he wanted to be buried. I stuck his ashes in there anyway and had the thing inscribed. If that's not what he wanted, too bad.
I'll stop bugging you now.
Sounds good.
Yes, hello?
Hi, my name's Nancy Drew. Is this Professor Hotchkiss?
I am she. Nancy Drew. Your name has a ring to it. Do I know you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we met a little while back in Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. You were the delightful young lady doling out the samples in the tasting room of that cheese factory. Yum, yum.
No, I met you at Wickford Castle.
That's ridiculous. There was no cheese tasting room at Wickford Castle.
No, we were both guests there. I found a journal written by Marie Antoinette which you translated. Remember?
Thanks to you, suddenly all I can think about is how wonderful a nice big slab of Colby cheese would taste right now. Listen, Mandy, I'm on a deadline, so if you could please just tell me why you called.
But my name isn't...
Deadline! Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Chop, chop.
Did a man from New Orleans named Bruno Bollet ever call you?
Ah, now there's a name you can remember. Bollet. Nice and French. I'm a scholar of French history, you know.
Yes, I know. So did Bruno Bollet call you?
Indeed he did. Oui, oui.
Why did he call, if you don't mind my asking?
Because he had read my book, of course. The Crystal Skulls. Fact or fable, one of my best efforts. Sold like hotcakes, smothered in a rich, tangy lemon sauce.
Did he say anything about owning one of the skulls himself?
I would have hung up on him straight away if he had. I tell you, Brandy, if I had $1 for every crackpot who's called claiming to own one of those skulls, I'd be able to dine at the Russian tea room every evening for the rest of my life. All right, that's a bit of hyperbole, but you get the picture. No. If memory serves, we talked mostly about the skull called the Whisperer. He wanted to know if I had learned any more about it since my book was published, which I hadn't, or if I had any theory as to what happened to it, which I didn't.
And that was the extent of your conversation?
Well, now, let me think. My, such insatiable curiosity, Nellie. You remind me of someone I encountered on one of my journeys. But for the life of me, I cannot remember her name or the circumstances.
Nancy Drew? Wickford Castle?
Ah! The eyes have it.
I'm sorry?
That's what Bruno Bollet said when I turned the tables and asked him if he had any idea where the Whisperer was. He said, the eyes have it. Then he chuckled and hung up.
If someone found a skull made of crystal, how could they be sure it's one of the crystal skulls?
Wonderful question, Francie. How indeed? Because there are sure to be thousands of fakes out there. Perhaps tens of thousands. But remember, the real skulls were made long before the tools commonly used for carving today were invented. Which means, let's put on our thinking caps.
Modern-day tools would have left marks if the skull was a fake?
Exactly so. Mind you, the marks on a good fake would be microscopic and thus imperceptible to the human eye. However, any thorough laboratory analysis would quickly unmask a counterfeit.
So the only way to prove that a skull is the real deal is by proving it's not a fake?
And by examining its provenance, its history of ownership. If it can be shown that a particular specimen has been passed along from antiquity into modern times and didn't just suddenly appear in, say, Germany in the mid-19th century, that would tend to support its authenticity as well.
How much would a crystal skull like the Whisperer be worth?
In this crazy day and age, where the shorn hair and used tissues of celebrities get sold for thousands of dollars, there's absolutely no telling, Candy. $500,000 easily. Maybe even $1 million. Maybe 2. Maybe 10. The sky's the limit. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
The idea that the Whisperer can make its owner immortal, do you believe that?
I believe that things that defy any so-called rational explanations happen all the time, Nessie. Now, does that mean there are mysterious external forces at work in the universe of which we do not and cannot ever have full knowledge? Or does it all boil down to us? If the human heart desperately wants something to be true, does the human mind have the power to make it true? Who knows? Oh, questions, questions, questions. Oh, how dreary life would be without them.
In your book, you said that all the people who've ever owned the Whisperer were murdered, yet Bruno Bollet dropped dead of a heart attack.
Are you saying the Whisperer was in his possession after all? The scallywag! Why didn't he tell me that? Oh, that's right, I would have hung up on him. Well, if that's the case, then I strongly suggest you take a close look at his so-called heart attack, Sandy. Because if he owned the skull and he died, I guarantee you it was at the hands of someone else. Or my name's not Beatrice Gertrude Winifred Hotchkiss.
I'd better go. Thank you.
Good luck to you, dear.
Yes?
I'm going to keep looking around.
Awesome. Yes?
I'm going to keep looking around.
Groovy.
Hello again.
Did Dr. Bollé ever say anything to you about a crystal skull? He may have referred to it as the Whisperer.
No, he never so much as mentioned a crystal skull, whispering or otherwise.
Were you in the house when Dr. Bollé passed away?
I was indeed. I was in the library cleaning when all of a sudden I heard a big thump. I hurried out to investigate, and sure enough, there was Dr. Bollé lying by the front door. And as I rushed over to him, the door opened and in walked Gilbert Buford. He took one look at Dr. Bollé and hollered at me to call 911, so I ran back into the library and did just that. When I came back out, Gilbert was leaning over Dr. Bollé, listening for breathing, I suppose, and then he started pushing up and down on his chest, but it was too late. Even I could tell that Dr. Bollé was gone.
What was he doing by the front door?
I assume he saw Gilbert coming and was going to open the door for him. Not that there was any need. As you yourself discovered, people around here seldom lock their front doors during the day. But you know, in the back of my mind, I have always wondered about Gilbert Buford showing up at the door at that exact moment.
I understand that Dr. Bollé had some interesting pets, like an iguana.
That man never met a creature he didn't like. He'd train them to do all kinds of silly tricks, then let 'em run free, inside the house as well as out.
Do you know how he went about training them?
I surely do not. Don't get me wrong. I liked Dr. Bollé, I truly did. But I swear, sometimes his activities made as much sense to me as bathing in a bayou full of gators.
I'll leave you to your potting.
Take care, hon.
This is Dr. Gilbert Buford's answering service. How may I help you?
I need to talk to Dr. Buford. Could you maybe give me a number where I can reach him?
No, ma'am, I cannot. Is this an emergency?
Sort of. I mean, it's not a medical emergency. See, I'm only going to be in town for a short time, and Dr. Buford and I have this mutual friend who died recently, and I just really need to talk to him about it.
Need some consoling, huh?
Yes, I need some consoling. That's it exactly.
Well, tell you what. It's against the rules to give you his phone number, but I can tell you that now that he's all but retired, Dr. Buford spends most of his evenings at his favorite gumbo stand down in the French Quarter. If you really need to talk to him, you can probably find him there.
Great. Do you know the address?
It's at the corner of Rampart and Domain.
Did you say Rampart and Domain?
I did indeed. Granny Pumpkin's Cajun Cooking. They make some darn fine gumbo.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I'm truly sorry about your loss.
My loss?
That mutual friend of yours and Dr. Buford's?
Oh, right. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, Bess, it's me.
So what's been happening? Tell me everything.
Well, let's see. Since the last time we talked, I was just about getting ready to...
Interesting stuff.
But the reason I called is, I need you to talk to this doctor named Gilbert Buford, who, as it turns out, likes to hang out at a gumbo stand called Granny Pumpkin's Cajun Cookin', which should be right across from our hotel.
You just want me to talk to him? That's it? Nothing nefarious? No black ops stuff?
He was Bruno Bolet's doctor, and apparently his best friend, too. I just need for you to see if he thinks there was anything weird about the way Bruno died.
What do you mean by weird?
I mean, I kind of think maybe Bruno was murdered.
Murdered? By whom?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Everyone's a suspect at this point.
Including this Gilbert Buford guy?
Well,
Great, I'm gonna be chatting up Jack the Ripper.
oh, I'm sure the guy's fine, but be subtle, just in case.
Well, I can see the gumbo stand from our balcony. If he's the guy that's sitting down there, I guess he looks harmless. Okay, I'll go talk to him.
Thanks, Bess. Let me know what happens.
Cheerio!
Why, hello, young lady. How kind of you to grace an old man with your lovely presence.
Are you Dr. Gilbert Buford?
I'm delighted to report that I am indeed.
Your answering service said I'd probably find you here.
This here is my favorite spot in the whole city. Delicious gumbo, pleasing view, particularly now, I might add.
My name's Bess Marvin. I'd like to ask you some questions about Bruno Bolet, if that's okay?
I'd prefer subject matter of a happier nature, but I do not want to seem inhospitable, so what is it you want to know?
Is it true that Dr. Bolet was your best friend?
Well, now, I was certainly his best friend, but I cannot honestly say that he was mine. Fact is, while socializing with my fellow man, particularly with pretty young women such as yourself, has always been a source of pleasure for me, Bruno was just the opposite. Unfortunately, the older he got, the more numerous his idiosyncrasies became, and the less concerned about their negative effect upon others he became.
His idiosyncrasies didn't bother you?
Now, as a doctor of medicine, I am not only accustomed to dealing with the abnormal, but I find that I'm actually drawn to it. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed Bruno's outlandish personality, although at the same time I fear it may have played a role in his demise. You see, he died of a myocardial infarction, most likely caused by age-related atherosclerosis. Dying of a heart attack is all too common for people who are socially isolated, and Bruno Bolet had most certainly become that.
Did they do an autopsy on Dr. Bollé?
No. Given Bruno's advanced age and the absence of any indication of foul play, an autopsy was deemed unnecessary, and the body was cremated according to Bruno's wishes.
Did Dr. Bollé ever say anything to you about owning a crystal skull?
Why, yes. Yes, he did. In fact, he showed it to me once. Said it had magical powers. Said owning it was going to allow him to live forever. I thought it was utter nonsense and told him so. Well, he didn't appreciate that at all. Refused to talk to me for a full 2 weeks.
What'd the skull look like?
It was quite beautiful, actually. Life-size, perfect in form and clarity, like a diamond almost. Tell me, Miss Bess, what do you know about that crystal skull?
This friend of mine, who is also a friend of Henry Bollé, you know, Dr. Bollé's great-nephew. Anyway, while she was visiting Henry, she saw this book in Bruno's library about the legendary crystal skulls and was kind of intrigued and thought that since Henry said that you were pretty much Bruno's only friend, maybe Bruno had said something to you about it, and as it turns out, he had. That's all I know.
I see. Well, much as I'd like to believe that skull holds the key to immortality, I'm afraid Bruno's passing proves it's worthless. Although it would make an attractive paperweight, as I recall. Tell your friend not to give it another thought.
Dr. Bollé's housekeeper says you just happened to walk in just as he was having his heart attack. Is that true?
Indeed it is. I hadn't seen him for a while, so I picked that day to pay him a visit. I walked up to the front door, found it unlocked as usual, opened it, and there he was, lying on the floor in obvious distress. The next thing I know, his housekeeper came running in and started shrieking and carrying on, until finally I sent her out of the room so she could summon an ambulance, and I could once again hear myself think. Well, let's see. Then I knelt down and saw that he wasn't breathing. So I pulled him away from the doorway so I'd have more room to work on him, and began chest compressions. I continued until the medics arrived, but nothing they did made a difference either.
Was Dr. Bollé unconscious the whole time?
Yes, he was.
Can you remember anything that might indicate what he was doing by the front door? I mean, had he just come in from a walk? Was he wearing a hat? Was he holding anything? Had he dropped something? An umbrella? Sunglasses?
Wait a minute. Why, yes, he was holding something. A piece of paper. And on the floor next to him was an envelope. He must have collapsed while reading a letter.
Do you know what happened to it?
Now, I know the letter was no longer in Bruno's hand when the paramedics arrived, so perhaps he released the letter when I moved him. And yet, I do not recall seeing it on the floor when they wheeled him out the door. Iggy.
What's icky?
Iggy. Iggy is an iguana Bruno befriended, then turned loose in his home. It soon developed the annoying habit of stealing paper and stockpiling it in the vent system.
Are you saying an iguana made off with the letter Bruno had been reading?
It would not have been the first time a missing document ended up in Iggy's possession. Renee would periodically call me saying the lizard had absconded with one of Bruno's prescriptions and would I please write her up a replacement. In any case, Bruno once told me he was training Iggy. Said he taught Iggy to retrieve the things it had stolen.
Do you think it's possible that Renee caused Dr. Bollé's death by, say, hoarding the pills from those missing prescriptions and giving them to him all at once?
No. Had he died of an overdose of the medications I had prescribed, the manner of his death would have been quite different. But he died of a heart attack. Of that I am certain. However, I know for a fact that Renee is deeply involved in the practice of hoodoo. And as Bruno's housekeeper, she had ample opportunity to use it against my poor old friend.
You mean hoodoo really works?
Young lady, never, ever underestimate the power of suggestion. If a person believes in something, even on a subconscious level, fantasy can easily become fact. And who knows what rubbish Renee filled Bruno's mind with? Drink this, don't eat that, this brings good luck, that brings bad, day in and day out. even if he said he didn't believe a word of it. Who knows how much his subconscious was absorbing? He was very old and vulnerable. So could Renee have caused Bruno to have that fatal heart attack? There's not a doubt in my mind she could indeed.
Thanks for your time.
I've enjoyed our conversation immensely.
Hello? Hi, Nance. Okay, here's what's been happening at my end. And that's pretty much it.
Good work. I'll take it from here. Thanks again.
Good luck. Bye.
Come on, Summer, give me a break here. You never said anything about that. Well, how was I supposed to know? I mean, what am I, telepathic? No, come on, don't get upset. Look, I'll see what I can do, okay? What do you mean, something else? You gotta be kidding me, Summer. I don't have that kind of money. No, I meant, I don't have it now. But I will, soon, okay? Bye. Oh, man.
Locked, naturally.